Hello and welcome to Auspol Explained. This is your handy guide to everything to do with Australian politics and how the system works. And one really important thing we'll be discussing today is postal voting. I also will be briefly discussing at the end telephone voting, whether you're interested in early voting for accessibility reasons, travel, or there's a once-in-a-century global pandemic happening. Postal voting is a helpful and integral part of the democratic process of Australia. So in this episode, I'll go over all the steps from who can postal vote to getting your ballots and then sending them off. So let's begin. To be eligible to vote early, you must meet one of the following criteria, like living more than 8 kilometers from a polling place, traveling outside of the electorate that you're enrolled to vote in, seriously ill, about to give birth, or in hospital, unable to leave your workplace on an election day, if you have religious reasons that prevent you from attending a polling place, are in prison serving a sentence of less than 3 years, a silent elector, or have a reasonable fear for your safety. Unsurprisingly, fear of catching COVID-19 is grounds for applying for a postal vote. A lot of the information from this episode is from the AEC, Australian Electoral Commission, which is your friend and the independent body that oversees and runs elections federally in Australia. So if you have any questions that aren't answered in this episode, please go to aec.gov.au for more information or translation services. If you're after information about postal voting in a state or territory election, you can just put the name of your state or territory into like Google or whatever search engine you use, plus Electoral Commission, and then you'll find the one relevant to you. It may be very similar, but there might be a slight difference. So this is federal, how to postal vote. Let's begin. There are 2 ways that you can get an application for a postal vote. The first option is to ask for it directly from the AEC, and the second option is a political party might send you one. To do it officially, once an election is called, you can apply via the AEC at aec.gov.au/PVA. PVA for like Postal Vote Application. You'll remember it. Okay, it's a quick and easy process. You can grab a physical application form from an AEC office, which you can find by going to the contact section of the AEC website and putting in your postcode. You can also call 132326 to have one mailed to you, if you're one of those people who still uses a phone to make phone calls. As a millennial, I hate making phone calls and even receiving them even more so. But I respect everyone's cultural differences and practices. You have until the Wednesday before the election to apply. Elections are always held on Saturday. So, please don't leave it last minute, especially if you think it won't arrive in the mail. You'll also be asked to answer a security question to validate your vote. The second option is a political party can send you a postal vote application, which can also contain political campaign material in it. It may not be immediately obvious as to who sent it, there may not be obvious branding or logos, but all political communication needs to be authorized, so at worst you'll have to find some fine print to see who it was authorized by and therefore which party sent it. You don't need to use it or fill it out, but if you do, you can send it back to the party or candidate that sent it to you, and they must send it on to the AEC. However, they can open it beforehand and may look at details like your name, address, contact details, and answer to your security question. The party won't get a copy of your ballot and won't know how you voted. It's just the application form for the ballot. You can also send that form directly to the AEC instead of in a roundabout way through the party to them. The AEC will never send you material or promotion for a political candidate or a party, so you can be aware if it is from them or from someone else. Once you get your postal ballot, it's time to fill it in. There will be 2 ballots, one white for the Senate and one green for the House of Representatives. Instructions on how to fill them out will be written on them, or you can check out my episode on how elections work, or you can go to the AEC website for a step-by-step guide. Next step, you need to find a witness who knows you. I personally use my wife, but if you don't have one of those, consider a neighbor, a family member, or a friend, or getting on a dating app real fast and making some very deep personal connections. Whoever you choose to be your witness also needs to be enrolled to vote, so don't waste time dating any people who don't engage in the democratic process, as they're undeserving of love. The witness will make... The witness is there to make sure that it is you who fills out your ballot. They don't need to look at how you fill it out or who you vote for, just observe that it's you in your flesh, real human body that is doing the marking of the paper. We don't let robots vote. If you see a robot trying to vote, stop them. That's right, I'm not afraid to proudly suppress robot voting. Cancel me, Skynet. The witness can help you fill it out if you need help. You must write in the answer to your secret question down so that the vote can be confirmed as legitimate. Then you sign your name. The witness signs the envelope and writes the date. Then when you're done filling out your ballot, you can return it via post, which, that's why it's called a postal ballot. It makes sense now. Good news, you won't even need to buy a stamp for the return envelope. How convenient is that? Democracy shouldn't cost you $1 or whatever amount stamps cost these days. I remember personally when letters cost less than 50 cents to send, and you would still send letters because whenever you tried to connect to the internet, the modem would screech at you and it would be terribly slow and inefficient, and it would take 10 minutes to download a terrible JPEG, and I lived in the dark ages. You can also drop off your ballots at an AEC office or scan and upload it at aec.gov.au/PVA, which is pretty convenient. I love not having to go outside because the sun is my arch nemesis for my pale skin and I burn easily. And also there's like the greatest public health crisis of the last century happening all around me as of this recording. Postal votes will be counted so long as they're received within 13 days after the election day. So if you're worried about postal delays, do it in advance. Also, you can't vote more than once, so if you send off a postal vote and then try to vote in person, you might get in trouble. Multiple voting is an offence that can land you in jail. People sometimes do vote twice, either deliberately or accidentally, so the AEC has a system of double checking and eliminating extra votes to ensure they don't influence elections. Most instances of people multiple voting are due to things like language difficulties, confusion, and sometimes people are drunk. Please don't drink before you vote. Watch the ABC live election coverage and have drinks afterward, like I do. Or stay sober. Do whatever is right and healthy for you, and say no to peer pressure, unless your peers are telling you to stop the robots from being able to vote. Down with the machines. Postal voting is as reliable as any other form of voting, and voter fraud is a non-issue in Australia. For instance, in the 2001 federal election, there were 5 people referred by the AFP for prosecution. That's 5 people out of nearly 11.5 million votes. So, chill if you're about to be, weird in the comments. We're not American conspiracy theorists. We're Australians. We have different conspiracy theories, like the one about Harold Holt being a communist spy, and that's why he disappeared off the coast of Cheviot Beach in 1967, which is of course a ridiculous lie. He wasn't taken by a Chinese submarine. He was secretly a mermaid. Obviously. You can register automatically to be a postal voter. This only applies if you're eligible in ways like living more than 20 kilometers from a polling place, being a patient at a hospital or nursing home that prevents you from traveling, being too infirm to leave home, or caring for a seriously ill person. Or registered as a silent elector, can't go to a polling booth due to religious beliefs, can't sign name due to physical incapacity, registered as an overseas elector, or serving in the military or police force outside of Australia. There is also, by the way, voting by telephone. It's compulsory to vote in Australian elections, despite what some weird person says in the comments, who is absolutely wrong, and I will fight them all the time. But because it is not always physically possible or easy for lots of people to do that voting, telephone voting is an option that can help for people who have low vision, or are blind, or are currently on a ship on their way to Antarctica to chill with a bunch of penguins. That last one isn't an example I made up, that's a literal thing the AEC has prepared for. Unfortunately, as I am preparing this in advance, I don't actually know what all the specific mechanics of voting by telephone are. I just want you to know that this is an option that exists. There's more information on how to cast a secret ballot via telephone will be on the AEC's website closer to when election is called. This is a great option if you're planning on voting in person, but are unexpectedly sick on election day or the days before and need to stay in isolation inside. So again, whenever you have a question about voting, go to aec.gov.au where you can find answers to any question you might have. You can also call them, you can email them, you can have information translated into several different languages, or have different pages of their website spoken out loud to you if you are unable to read it for whatever reason. And there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in, quite sincerely. I hope this has been helpful to you. If it has, please share it so other people can learn as well. Also, comment down below what you would like to learn about next, subscribe, share, all these sorts of things, and find me on TikTok or Spotify, etc., etc. There is all sorts of places you can find me. A copy of the script is linked in the description if you would like to see the citations I used to make this episode, or just learn more about it. That is all, and I will see you next time.